Unlocking the Secret, 7 Insane Laws of Attraction You Never Knew Existed. In a world buzzing with unseen forces, where whispers of destiny brush against skin and time twists in the most astonishing ways, there is something lying just beneath the surface, something so shocking that only the brave dare to uncover. Imagine a night where the stars seem to blink, a message meant only for you. Or a fleeting glance exchanged between two strangers that ignites a spark powerful enough to change lives forever. These aren't just coincidences, they're the first hints of the extraordinary laws of attraction that could turn your life upside down if you're willing to believe. Each moment, fluttering with potential, hides a deep mystery waiting to be revealed. One late evening in a small coffee shop nestled between towering skyscrapers, a peculiar incident unfolded. The barista, a young woman with bright blue hair, dropped a cup. The ceramic shattered, but no one gasped. Instead, her eyes widened as she stared at the shards. A broken cup? No, that was just the start. You see, those fragments sparkled unnaturally, glowing in colors that seemed impossible in the dull light of the cafe. People leaned in, whispers rushed like wind, and suddenly, a heavy tension filled the air. Was it just a trick of the light? Or was this something larger? The buzz grew. They wouldn't discuss just a cup. No, this felt like a prelude to something cosmic, a secret about to unfurl, but it wasn't just in the cafe. All around town, whispers circulated of dreams coming true in the most unexpected ways. A man found $100 bill in his pocket the same day he was laid off. A girl's wish for a cat came true after years of waiting when one simply showed up at her doorstep. It's those uncanny coincidences that wiggle their way into your thoughts, gripping your heart and leaving a lump in your throat. What personal magnetism lay behind those moments? What rules applied to the universe that strands of fate carefully wove? Just as this curiosity grew, a shadow loomed over the crowd in the coffee shop. A man, tall and cloaked in mystery, pushed the door open with a loud creak. The chill in the air heightened as he scanned the room, eyes glinting with a strange knowledge. He stepped forward, a silence enveloping him like a thick fog. What did he know? What drew everyone's attention? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. This shadowy figure stood motionless, yet the room buzzed with energy, pulsing with unspoken questions. What secret held him captive, and how would it intertwine with the mysteries unfolding in this seemingly ordinary coffee shop? The universe spun delicately around them as people held their breaths, eyes widening with anticipation. Did they dare speak, or would silence uncover the truth? The air thickened, and the walls trembled with potential. With a strained heart, the crowd leaned closer, desperate for answers, but unsure of the price for knowing. What would they discover when tonight's bizarre tapestry finally unraveled? The figure finally moved, his long coat swirling like a dark cloud as he stepped closer to the barista. The shards of the broken cup reflected flashes of color off his face, illuminating his features for a moment. There was something ancient in his gaze, an energy that seemed to vibrate in the air around him. He raised a hand, fingers twitching, as if reaching for something just out of grasp. Gather around, he commanded, his voice low yet electric. There are truths hidden here, beneath your skin, tangled in the very fabric of your existence. Murmurs erupted around him, and a few people took tentative steps forward, drawn in like moths to a flame, while others stayed rooted, unease creeping through them. What do you want from us? A man near the back called out, his voice shaky. Who are you? The stranger smiled a sly, cryptic grin. I am but a messenger. And tonight, those broken pieces are more than mere dust. They hold the key to your desires and your fears. As if prompted by his words, the shimmering shards began to radiate even brighter, casting vibrant hues across the floor and bouncing off the walls. People gasped, stepping back at the beauty turned eerie. The atmosphere became thick with anticipation and dread, leaving hearts pounding. They all wanted to know, what price would they pay for the secrets hidden in such beauty? Each of you, he continued, his voice weaving through the rising tension, has a gateway within you. Something long buried. Through despair or joy, it reveals itself, sometimes when least expected. Shifting his gaze toward a woman who clung tight to a steaming cup, he pointed. You, for instance. Tell me, what is it you desire most? She hesitated, vulnerability flashing in her eyes. To the words clung to her throat, terrified of stepping into the light. To feel whole again. The crowd's breath hung as dread brewed. They leaned closer, desperate for answers but aware of the possible consequences. The man nodded slowly, his expression solemn. Exactly. The first law of attraction states that we manifest what we deeply yearn for. But just beyond that yearning lies the shadow of fear. So tell me, are you prepared to face it? A crackle of energy filled the room. An overwhelming wave hit, thick as fog, pressing against their chests. The barista instinctively stepped back, eyes darting to the doorway, a mental escape route forming in her mind. But before she could act, the cloaked man snapped his fingers. The fragments of the cup erupted into a bloom of light, dazzling, blinding. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd, their senses assaulted. Images flooded their minds, dreams, desires, howling regrets. They clutched their heads, as though the weight of their longing pulled them down. What the hell was happening? And just like that, silence fell, the strange man standing at the center, powerful and impenetrable as the light dimmed. But there was more, an unshakable dread that enveloped them all. Join me, and understand what exists beyond mere attraction. But tread carefully, for once you unlock the door, there's no turning back. Whispers filled the room, fear mingling with a strange allure. No one wanted to move, yet they couldn't help but inch closer to the enigmatic figure. What had just awakened inside them? What awaited on the other side of this uninvited truth? Doom or opportunity? That was the bitter choice lingering in the air. Those who stood close enough could sense it, a tangible energy coursing through their veins. The call of the unknown teased them as the coffee shop door creaked open again, sending a jolt through the crowd. A figure stepped inside, masking their identity in the shadows. This newcomer shifted the atmosphere entirely, pulling the tension taut. Who was it? And what fate would they weave into this growing tapestry? The crowd held its breath. What answers lay shrouded in darkness, and who among them would be bold enough to probe deeper? The door swung wide, and the newcomer stepped into the coffee shop, their face half hidden beneath a hood. The atmosphere, once electrified by the cloaked man's words, shifted again, thickening with intrigue. The lights flickered ominously, casting shadows that danced across the walls like specters. All eyes turned toward the figure, a mix of curiosity and apprehension weighing heavy in the air. The cloaked man barely acknowledged the interruption, his gaze still locked onto the woman with the cup. Yes, he coaxed her gently, what do you truly seek? It's she faltered, her voice a whisper lost amid the rising tension. It's love. But, love has betrayed me before. The cloaked man's eyes gleamed with knowing, and he tilted his head slightly. Betrayal, a familiar shadow. But it is only in facing the shadows that you can find light. Are you ready? Just then, a deep voice broke through, rumbling like thunder. What gives you the right to toy with our hearts? The question came from a man in the back, his stance defiant. He stepped forward, the uncertainty evaporating from his expression, replaced by an anger that blurred the edges of his fear. We don't need this kind of manipulation. But the man in the cloak just smiled, unfazed. Manipulation? Or liberation? Sometimes truth is a knife that cuts deep, but it's necessary for healing. Tell me, what's your greatest fear? Losing myself, the man replied, his voice steadied yet raw. Not knowing who I am without someone else. A murmur rippled through the crowd, each person wrestling with their own inner demons while striving to listen. It's a question we all must face, the cloaked man continued. The laws of attraction are relentless, and they lead you to the very edge of your most profound fears. The figures in the shop began to shuffle, whispers buzzing like insects in the air. Uneasiness settled in threads among the crowd. What did he mean by the laws of attraction? As each person contemplated their inner conflicts, the stranger in the hood took a slow step forward, revealing a glimmer of familiarity in the half-light. "Wait, are you?" A woman murmured, recognition dawning. She pointed a trembling finger, the colors from the shattered cup still flooding the room. You were in my dreams." "Dreams hold powerful truths," the hooded figure said, their voice smooth and haunting. "And sometimes, those figures are reflections, guiding you toward recognition." The cloaked man's amusement twisted slightly. "Very insightful, but understanding dreams only skims the surface. To unlock what is hidden, one must embrace the truth that lies deeper." Suddenly, the lights died completely, plunging the room into darkness. Gasps echoed in unison, fear cascading through the crowd. A silence wrapped around them, thick enough to choke, before a single candle flickered into existence on the barista's counter. The dim light cast long shadows, a beacon amidst the uncertainty. "What is happening?" someone whispered. Panic was stirring, hearts pounding against ribs, breath quickening. The cloaked man let the stillness hang for a moment, deliberately serene in the face of mounting chaos. "Change is here. The door is open. Choose wisely, the journey ahead may reveal more than you are prepared to handle." The hooded figure stepped closer to the candlelight, their identity becoming clearer. Eyes wide, the crowd stilled as the first hints of recognition fought against fear, the last person any of them had expected to see. And just like that, the tension snapped. Will you confront your desires? Or will you retreat to safety? The cloaked man's challenge echoed as the crowd stood on the precipice of revelation, an overwhelming sense of urgency uncoiled within the atmosphere. The shadows seemed alive, swirling with potential and dread. What truths would emerge from this charged moment? And who would take the first step toward redefining their fate? The answer lurked just beyond the edge of their fears. The candle flickered with fragile light, casting an eerie glow over the crowded coffee shop. The hooded figure shifted, their face now fully illuminated. Eyes wide with shock, several patrons took an unconscious step back. "Emily!" The hooded figure gasped, recognition dawning upon them as they reached for the woman who had called out earlier. "I didn't think I'd find you here." Emily's heart raced. Recognition flooded her mind, memories crashing down like waves. "Liam," she barely managed, voice trembling. "Is it really you?" "Yes," he breathed, the hood falling away to reveal a face lined with urgency. "But we don't have much time. You need to listen." Before Liam could finish, the cloaked man raised a hand, halting him. The tension shifted, tightening like a noose. "Ah, old connections, fate's little strings. But tell me, now that the veil has thinned, what will you do with this knowledge?" Liam stepped forward, eyes blazing with emotions held tightly for too long. "You're toying with them. They need clarity, not riddles." "Clarity isn't spoon-fed," the cloaked man replied, voice like gravel. "Sometimes the only truth worth knowing comes after digging through the darkness of our fears." Emily shivered, and the whispers in the crowd turned into murmurs of discontent and confusion. The air felt electric, sparking with intrigue and dread. People started backing away, but they were caught in an invisible web of possibility. "Love isn't just a feeling," Liam said, his voice rising above the unrest. "It's the risk we take, the freedom we dare to chase. But it can't exist in shadows, only in the light of truth." The cloaked man chuckled, a deep, resonant sound. "Brave words. But the first step is always the hardest. Are you all ready to confront what truly binds you?" Silence enveloped the room, and every heart beat loudly against the stillness. Each person stood on the precipice of their own realizations. "I'm ready," Emily shouted suddenly, her voice slicing through the tension like a knife. Her hands trembled as she stepped closer to the crowd, courage flickering in her eyes. "I'm ready to find my own way through the darkness. I won't hide anymore." The atmosphere shifted, the very air vibrating with her proclamation. Liam's expression softened, recognition and admiration flaring in his gaze. "That's it, Em. We can't let fear control us." But the cloaked man raised an eyebrow, almost amused. "Ah, but are you ready for what lies ahead? Love is not merely a pursuit, it's a battleground. And every battle leaves scars." The murmurs intensified again, people exchanged glances filled with trepidation. Was love worth the fight? They were grappling with their own uncertainties, emotions running high. "What about you?" A voice piped up, breaking through the anxious air. "Are you truly prepared to face the hidden parts of ourselves?" "Am I?" Emily echoed, caught off guard. "What will I even find?" A silence fell, thick again with suspense. The candle flickered ominously as the cloaked man approached her, his eyes glimmering. "You may discover facets of your soul you've kept locked away. Perhaps an ancient pain, a shimmering hope. Or even the shadow of betrayal." A shudder rippled through Emily, sending icy fingers down her spine. Each word he spoke was a challenge, a reminder that the path forward was one nobody had ventured down yet. "What if I can't handle it?" she dared to ask, apprehension sharp in her chest. He leaned closer, intensity igniting in his gaze. "It is not about handling it, but about finding a way to rise above it." A loud crash echoed from the back of the shop. Chairs toppled, causing everyone to jump in fright. The room collectively gasped, eyes darting toward the noise. "Something's coming." A woman shouted, her voice shrill with panic. "We need to leave." "No." Liam called out, his voice firm. "This is our moment. We can't back away now." Emily's heart raced again, adrenaline surging through her. Would she step forward into the unknown, or retreat into the safety of her fears? With the shadows looming closer around them, it was clear each choice held consequences. That could change everything about who they were. The decision hovered in the air, tantalizingly close. What would haunt them if they stepped back? And what truths would unveil themselves if they dared to move forward against the tide of uncertainty? The panic in the room crackled like static electricity, amplifying the heartbeat of every soul present. Chairs scraped against the floor as patrons scrambled toward the exit. Emily's gaze flicked between the cloaked man, Liam, and the darkening doorway where shadows danced menacingly. "What's coming?" Emily shouted, struggling to be heard over the rising chaos. Liam didn't flinch. "I don't know, but we need to stay together. We can't let fear separate us." His voice, though steady, quivered with urgency. The cloaked man raised his arms theatrically as if to command the room. "Fear feeds the darkness. If you choose to flee, you'll feed it more than you realize. Stand, and confront what torments you." The candle flickered, sending shadows darting across the walls. Emily's skin prickled. Beneath the panic, a fire ignited within her. "Liam, we can't just run. We need to face this whatever it is." A sudden roar echoed from outside, rattling the windows. People screamed, the sound almost swallowed by the weight of dread heavy in the air. It was loud, primal, a warning. "Listen to him." An older man shouted, his voice laced with authority and fear. "If we confront what lurks in the shadows, we might just allow ourselves to escape the very fate it seeks to unleash." The cloaked man nodded slowly, his eyes gleaming with a satisfaction that sent chills through Emily. "Courage begets courage. The true battle begins not outside, but within. Then let us fight." Emily exclaimed, feeling the electric current of determination surge through her. She stepped forward, glancing behind her at the faces in the coffee shop. We can't let this darkness control us or scare us away. We have to know what we're dealing with. A ripple of agreement coursed through the stunned crowd. A few of them hesitated, but one by one, they began to move closer, drawn by her conviction. Just as the tension peaked, the clattering stopped. Silence enveloped the room, thick and heavy like a thick fog rolling in over a quiet sea. Then, without warning, the door swung open violently. A figure stood silhouetted against the night, backlit by a pale moon. Its features were obscured, but an aura of something almost ancient radiated from it, making the hair on Emily's arms stand on end. "Is this the light you seek?" The figure rasped, its voice deep and echoing, sending shivers down the spines of the onlookers. "Or are you merely looking to hide?" Emily fought the urge to shrink back, feeling the warmth of Liam beside her. "We want the truth," she declared, her voice wavering but resolute. "Whatever it takes, we're ready." The cloaked man chuckled softly, satisfaction gleaming in his eyes. "Then let this unfold, dear ones. Truth always has a price. Are you ready to pay?" As the figure stepped further into the candlelight, Emily's heart raced. The creature's form became clearer, sharp features, glowing eyes, and an ethereal quality that made it feel almost unreal. In that moment, the air tingled with the promise of revelation, but also with something darker, an underlying thread of danger. Suddenly, the lights in the shop flickered, and the candles outshone themselves, forcing shadows to retreat. The figure's expression turned grave. "If you wish to unlock the secrets of your hearts, be prepared to meet the shadows of your souls." Emily's breath caught in her chest. She had taken a step forward, but now she felt the weight of her own fears threatening to pull her back. But Liam grasped her hand, tightly. "We do this together," he whispered, grounding her, igniting her resolve once more. Together she repeated, the word sounding like a promise, one that carried uncertainty and potential. The figure smiled, an unsettling mix of warmth and menace. "Then let the trials begin." As the shadows closed in around them, Emily's heart hammered against her ribcage. What truths awaited her now? And what were they about to unleash that could shake the very foundation of their lives? The answer lingered in the air, heavy with suspense. Would facing the darkness reveal their greatest strengths or destroy them? The moment hung like a stretched rubber band, taut and ready to snap. Emily could hear her heartbeat in her ears, a steady thump-thump-thump that drowned out everything else. The cloaked man stood partially in shadow, his presence looming larger as the flickering light danced across his cloak. It was as if the very elements of the room were aligning with the darkness outside, a storm brewing that was as much psychological as it was supernatural. "Trials." A voice broke the silence, a woman, her brow furrowed in confusion. "What kind of trials?" The figure stepped closer, the dim light catching its sharp features more clearly. Every eye strained in the shifting glow, searching, judging. "Life itself is a trial," it said, its voice smooth and resonant like polished stone. "But tonight, you will face a very specific one. Each of you carries a burden, a hidden sorrow or fear. We will peel back those layers." Gasps rippled through the crowd, and Emily felt a sinking feeling in her chest. The others were fearful, glancing around at each other, unsure if they could withstand such exposure. She wanted to scream at them to gather strength, but her own doubt seeped in, making her fingers tremble in Liam's grip. "Let us not be hasty," a bearded man near the back shouted, his voice shaking with sudden terror. "What if we don't want to confront our fears? What if—" "Hush!" The cloaked figure interrupted, its eyes locking onto the man with an intensity that seemed to swallow the light around them. "This is not a choice but a necessity. You either confront your darkness or succumb to it. The choice is yours." The tension in the room twisted like a knife. Everyone breathed as one, each heartbeat echoing a collective dread. "What if we refuse?" Emily's voice quivered, though she fought to maintain her composure. She could feel the sharpened looks from those around her, a mixture of encouragement and desperation. "Refusal is not an option," the entity replied, and the ground seemed to pulse beneath them. But know this, in embracing your truth, you may find unexpected allies among the shadows. Emily glanced sideways at Liam. His face set in grim determination, his jaw clenched tight. She could almost feel the questions boiling in his eyes, a storm of thoughts swirling to the surface. This challenge loomed, and yet, she sensed something deeper, a cautious hope. "All right," she said boldly, though fear coiled tightly within her stomach. "We're in. What do we have to do?" The figure nodded slowly, its demeanor shifting subtly. "You will enter the circle of remembrance. Each of you will recount a moment of pain, of fear, something that has hindered your light. Those who share will be granted insight, those who do not will find the shadows closing in." A heavy silence followed the declaration, a palpable weight that threatened to crush them all beneath it. Emily stepped forward, sucking in her breath to take the plunge. "I'll go first," she declared, her voice clear albeit shaking. "But I'm not alone, I'm with all of you. I choose to face this together." With every word, a ripple of courage seemed to flow through the crowd. Several others stepped forward, claiming their right to speak. Emily felt hope swell in her chest, but right then, the room grew cold, the very air tinged with dread. As the first woman's voice broke the silence, dark tendrils began to creep toward them, flickering like shadows coming to life ready to feed. Emily felt the creeping pulse of fear wrap around her as her own moment of truth loomed closer. What memory would she have to face? What darkness from within awaited her? The looming questions buzzed in her mind like a swarm of bees, stinging her consciousness with every beat of her heart, and just when she thought she might recoil, the lights flickered violently, plunging them into an inky darkness. "Face your fears before they consume you," the figure warned, barely audible, its tone now harsh and urgent. Emily braced herself, inching closer to the edge of the abyss. Would they summon the courage they needed? What darkness was still waiting in the shadows, and could she confront it without losing everything? The darkness swirled around them, thick and oppressive, as though it had a life of its own. Emily felt confined, the weight of unspoken words heavy in the air. The shadows crawled closer, their movements eerie and fluid, dancing just beyond her peripheral vision. She took a deep, steadying breath, every instinct screaming at her to run. But there was nowhere to go. "Who's next?" the cloaked figure urged, its voice slicing through the darkness like a knife. The command felt more like a challenge to the very core of each person's being. A man stepped forward. He looked about 30, with unkempt hair and a wild look in his eyes. "I'll do it," he shouted, desperation leaking into his voice. "But I don't know if I can. My fear, it's huge." His vulnerability crackled in the thick air, the figure raised a hand, and the shadows paused, rippling as though considering his fear. Truth, no matter how daunting, is the most powerful shield against the dark. The man hesitated, his breath coming in sharp bursts. "Okay, I lost my sister 2 years ago. I was on the phone with her when the accident happened. I never got to say goodbye." An uneasy silence blanketed the room. Emily's chest tightened, her heart beating in sync with the echo of their shared pain. A ripple of anguish spread through the gathered crowd. A single tear slipped down the man's cheek, illuminating the fear that coiled around his heart. Suddenly, the shadows absorbed the tear, as if tantalized by this glimpse of raw emotion. They seemed to pulse, feeding off the man's grief, deepening their dark hue. "Keep going," Emily urged him, feeling the urgency mount. "You're not alone. I had a chance to save her," he continued, voice trembling. "But I was too late. Now, every time I see an ambulance, I freeze. I think the worst is coming back." The shadows flared, surrounding him, ready to pull him into despair. But then, someone near the back shouted, "Fight it. Remember her smile, her laughter." A ripple of support ignited among the crowd, archaic and primal. One by one, others chimed in fragments of memories, words of comfort that transcended the gloom. This connection illuminated the darkness, creating fleeting moments of light as they shared their sorrows. Emily felt an electric charge in the air as more voices joined. Each confession sculpted a fragile bridge, knitting them together in shared vulnerability. She was caught between wanting to recoil and a craving for connection. Then, with a jolt, the man shouted, "I'm sorry, Caroline." The shadows shrieked, recoiling as if burned. They didn't like truth. Truth was their enemy. Emily felt the dark tendrils writhe angrily at the edges of her consciousness. The cloaked figure's voice resonated again. Only truth holds the power to shift the balance. Share your darkness before it consumes you. It was now or never. Emily squared her shoulders, heart racing. Mine's next, she proclaimed, stepping forward. Liam reached for her arm, eyes wide with apprehension. "Are you sure?" he asked softly. The fear in his gaze fueled her resolve. "Yes, I have to." The moment of her truth hovered on the tip of her tongue. But as she prepared to reveal it, a shrill scream shattered the tension. The first woman whose fear had ignited the shadows was trembling, her eyes wide with terror. "No. Stop. I can't." Emily felt a rush of panic. Would the darkness swallow them whole? The weight of her own memories pressed upon her, smothering her courage. "Emily," Liam warned, his grip tightening, but just then, a crack of lightning illuminated the darkened room, followed by a deafening boom of thunder. It burned away some shadow, revealing fleeting glimpses of what lay within the faces of those eclipsed by their fears, staring helplessly at her, waiting. "What happens if I share my truth?" she whispered, feeling a connection to the dark entity that made her skin crawl. The figure stepped closer. "You may find liberation or discover something you never wanted to face." With her heartbeat roaring in her ears, she opened her mouth, digging deep. Would the truth set her free or seal her? Fate. A low growl resonated from the shadows, threatening punishment as they anticipated what she would reveal. Emily's throat tightened. Could she brave the storm brewing within her? "Emily." Liam's voice broke through her impending silence, trembling with urgency. But it didn't matter. The shadows thrummed with anticipation, and the air felt electric. She thought if she didn't speak now, the darkness would swallow them all. She stammered, words like jagged glass in her throat. The weight of her confession pressed down on her as the whole room fell into a suffocating stillness, every eye fixed on her. I lost my brother," she finally gasped, the floodgates opening. "He was my best friend, my anchor. One day, he just didn't come home. I never got to tell him how much I loved him." The shadows roared, dancing quickly as they absorbed her pain, drawing nearer with each syllable. Their murmurs darkened the air, whispering threats of despair. Emily trembled, her heart pounding. "I thought I could have saved him. What if I hadn't pushed him to go out that night? What if I just called him one more time?" Each word hung heavy, like chains clinking with every confession. The shadows twisted, leaning in, eager to consume her grief. But a flicker of light sparked as others started to support her, voices rising. "You're not alone." Someone yelled, and a ripple of encouragement flickered through the crowd. "Remember his laughter." Another cried out. With renewed strength, Emily pressed on, her voice trembling yet clear. "He was everything to me. And I'm terrified that I'll forget him, that time will wash away my memories, and I'll lose him all over again." The shadows hissed, recoiling as if stung by the glow of truth. The more she spoke, the weaker, less defined they became. Yet, just as relief began to settle in the air, she felt a sudden chill, like icy fingers slicing through her confidence. "Keep going, Emily." Someone urged, and she blinked, the blood rushing to her ears drowning out the fear. Could she? She hesitated. "I'm haunted by failure. Every day feels like a battle against the shadows in my mind. I'm scared to hope, scared to breathe, terrified of being vulnerable." The cloaked figure watched closely, the emptiness beneath its hood exuding an unsettling satisfaction. Will you let those shadows into your heart, or will you break free? It challenged, voice a haunting echo in her soul. A hollow laugh echoed through the chamber, reverberating against the walls. You think sharing your pain will free you? You're only inviting more darkness, more loss. You know what the truth brings. Emily clenched her fists, summoning every ounce of courage. No. I want to let you take me. She shouted, fueling the fire within. The shadows writhed violently, thrashing around the room, and the figures of the others became clearer, faces twisted with fear, but also determination. Their collective pain formed a wall against the creeping gloom, and as Emily spoke her brother's name again, the shadows recoiled, releasing a guttural growl. Embrace it. Liam called, his voice sharp and unwavering. Don't let it overpower you. With one last surge of desperation, Emily shouted, Michael. The name sliced through the darkness, breaking apart the collective agony tethered to them. The shadows screamed, retreating, and for an instant, she felt warmth bathe her spirit, a fleeting moment where light pierced through. But then, a fierce wind howled through the chamber, and a new darkness rose from the depths like a phantom, its presence thick and suffocating. The cloaked figure stepped forward with a cruel grin, its layers billowing like smoke. Ah, but how deep does your sorrow truly go, Emily? What other secrets do you shield beneath your skin? Her heart dropped, panic coursing through her veins. What else was lurking in the depths of her memory, clawing to escape? Reveal more or suffer the consequences of your truth remaining hidden. It hissed, sharp and merciless. What other shadows were waiting to drag her down? What line would she dare cross next? The chamber pulsed with energy, a swirling mix of fear and defiance as Emily's heart raced. The cloaked figure loomed closer, its shadow stretching like a noose around her dreams. She took a step back, her body instinctively trying to escape the suffocating threat. Secrets. She whispered, the word falling from her lips like a stone. The shadows twisted around her, their whispers growing louder. What secrets could possibly be worse than this? Ah, it cooed, the grin beneath the hood widening, every heart carries a weight. Your brother's absence is merely the beginning. Betrayal, regret, guilt, these are powerful beasts, Emily. You wouldn't want them surfacing, would you? The cold lanced through her veins as she recalled the fleeting moments with Michael, the fights, the sibling squabbles that once felt like a storm, now echoing like a soft whisper of what could have been. Tell them. The figure demanded. Tell them how you let him down, how your selfish desires pushed him into the void. No. She screamed. The words felt like an eruption from within her, a crack in the dam that threatened to break. Sweat trickled down her back, and she could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on her, probing, questioning. Liam stepped closer, but the shadows surged forward as if warning him away. You've faced the darkness before, Emily, he encouraged, his voice breaking through the cacophony. You can face it again. Don't let it redefine you. The cloaked figure rooted itself in place, its presence palpable and suffocating, yet Emily dug her nails into her palms, grounding herself. I want to be your puppet, she breathed, shaking her head. You've taken enough from me. The shadows shivered, weaving around Emily's legs but failing to trip her resolve. What is it that you truly fear? It taunted, voice slippery like oil. The tears you never shed. The heartbreak you dismissed. And suddenly, like a wave crashing over her, the memories struck. Snippets flashed in her mind, Michael's laughter, their inside jokes, the last time she turned her back, too distracted by her high school drama to notice he was in trouble. She felt a pang of remorse that gnawed at her insides, a familiar ache that had been lurking, waiting for permission to resurface. Stop! She yelled, clutching her temples, trying to block them out. But the figure leaned closer, darkness swirling, tightening its grip like a vice. You can't escape the truth, Emily. It's festering inside you, a wound that needs to be cleansed. Share it with your friends, it hissed. Or you'll lose everything. Liam's look of fear was mirrored in the faces around them. Breathless gasps filled the air. Would they judge her? Would they turn away if they found out the darkness she harbored? The words caught in her throat, heavy and forbidden. The chill clutched tighter, doubt seeped through her defenses like smoke. Your truth can set you free, the specter urged, circling her with a predatory grace. Why hide it any longer? Emily closed her eyes, summoning whatever strength she hadn't revealed yet. I was too self-involved to see his pain. The confession tore itself from her lips, igniting the space with raw energy. I pushed him away when he needed me the most. Silence blanketed the room, leaving only the sound of her ragged breath and a distant rumble of the shadows reeling from her words. But beneath the silence, a low hum brewed, growing stronger, vibrating through her bones. It crackled in the air, buzzing with an unsettling promise and a hint of terrible understanding. With fear clawing at her insides, Emily realized that there was more to confront, more to unravel. Her greatest fears were just the beginning. The shadows danced hungrily, eager to dive even deeper into the darkness that lay ahead. What if she began, heart pounding, what if there's more to my story than just loss? Before she could gather her thoughts, a powerful chill swept through, wrapping around her like a vice. The cloaked figure's grin widened, and the shadows hissed in anticipation, as if they could already feel the ripple of the next secret. Threatening to spill. How much longer could Emily hold back the tide? What other truths would the darkness unveil? The weight of the cloaked figure's anticipation pressed down on Emily like an anvil resting on her fragile heart. She stood at a crossroads, trembling but resolute against the shadows which threatened to envelop her. Would she succumb, or would she rise above the abyss threatening to swallow her whole? Whatever you fear most lies at the core of your existence, the figure murmured, each word dripping with manipulation. Dive deeper, dear one. What's hidden beneath your pain? She closed her eyes, fighting against the darkness clawing at her resolve. Her mind raced back to memories swirling in a tempest, laughter shared, dreams discussed, and then the haunting echo of silence that consumed her. I was there when he needed me, she whispered, her voice barely breaking through the veil of darkness surrounding her. A chill swept through the room, and the shadows writhed in agitation. I didn't hear him cry for help. I thought I was too busy, too preoccupied with my own life. Emily swallowed hard against the lump in her throat. He needed me to be his sister, to be present. And I just wasn't. With each word, something shifted in the atmosphere, electrifying the crowd. People leaned forward, their eyes wide as they absorbed the gravity of her confession. Know your truth, it will transform you. Liam shouted, stepping protectively closer, while the shadows seethed with anger. Emily felt the warmth of his support. It ignited a flicker of bravery deep within her soul. You're right. I was too wrapped up in myself. So caught up in my plans, my struggles, I neglected what mattered most. Tears streamed down her cheeks, a catharsis washing over her. I took him for granted. I kept saying tomorrow when I should have said today. The shadows twisted violently, recoiling from the raw, blazing light of her vulnerability. The cloaked figure grew quieter, caught off guard by the power of her truths. Then, like a mighty wave, the storm of pain culminated. But it's not just his loss I am afraid of. I'm terrified of forgetting. I'm scared that this guilt will define me. What if I lose his memory? What if one day I wake up, and everything fades? A deep growl rumbled from the darkness, echoing her deepest fear. But within, Emily felt her heart tethered to something greater than herself, the collective resilience of the crowd. Fight it. Liam urged, his eyes aflame with equal parts determination and worry. Don't allow the shadows to define you. Suddenly, one by one, other voices rose to join hers, weaving a tapestry of strength and collective healing. A young woman stepped forward next, her eyes reflective of Emily's own agony. I lost my father when I was just 10. I thought I could never love again. But I refused to let his absence define my future. The shadows thrummed, as though caught off guard by this surge of power. They flickered and shuddered as if the weight of their darkness began to lift. But that's the thing, Emily replied urgently, feeling newfound courage blossom like wildflowers in spring. We must remember our loved ones. We carry their legacies in us. He may be gone, but I can't let that stop me from living fully. A powerful energy shimmered through the room, igniting a shared spirit of hope. Emily could see it reflecting in the faces around her, her companions, her allies. Together, we will face our fears. She shouted, her voice soaring with conviction. Together, we will confront the darkness. The words fueled their shared purpose, and the shadows trembled with uncertainty, sputtering against the growing light of their collective resolve. But the cloaked figure clasped its hands, eyes gleaming. This will not end well. Dark truths always bring consequences. Let those consequences come. Emily roared, fierce and unyielding. Let this be a catalyst to change our fates. Today, we choose to embrace our stories and the love we still have to give. Today, the shadows have no power. Liam added, standing firmly by her side, bolstered by her strength. As the tide of their unified voices surged higher, the darkness wrapped around them began to melt away. Under the warmth of their shared resilience. It was as if each word forged a light that pierced through the night, casting out fear, uncertainty, and grief. Emily felt lighter as she surrendered to the moment, surrounded by those brave enough to share. One by one, their secrets spilled forth like a brilliant cascade of colored glass shards catching the sun. They told tales of heartbreak, love lost, and redemption. Each confession dissipated the shadows further until only powerful remnants remained, flickering like dying embers. With one final resounding cheer, the shadows recoiled and shrieked, disintegrating into nothing more than wisps of smoke. The cloaked figure glared, then slowly melted away amidst the vibrant light that filled the room. The calm that followed was surreal. They had faced the darkness, and it had not claimed them. In the aftermath, a warm light enveloped the space, a gentle reminder that love, when openly shared, can light the way through even the most trying times. The coffee shop, once just a backdrop of fears and confusion, had transformed into a sanctuary filled with hope, courage, and healing. Emily looked around at her friends, newfound and old, and felt assured. We are more than our shadows, she said, breathing deeply. Together, we'll carry our truths forward, and help one another stay lit in the world. Liam smiled back, his eyes shining with admiration. This is only the beginning, he said. The crowd erupted in murmurs of agreement, and Emily knew that this moment would resonate far beyond this little coffee shop. It was a courageous stand against the darkness for not just her brother, but for everyone they loved and lost. As the night wore on, each person took their turn, weaving their own paths toward healing. No longer did shadows linger ominously, instead, laughter replaced silence, and connection blossomed beneath the stars outside. They were alive, they were free, and together their magnetism, their love, and their resilience would overcome even the darkest despair. In the end, the coffee shop wasn't just a place of gathering. It was a home, one filled with the promise of light and the strength of a shared journey into tomorrow. This was not just a conclusion but a launchpad, a celebration of what could be. And from this moment on, a new chapter awaited outside those doors, shimmering with the possibilities of love, healing, and hope. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. Smash the like button now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about the ending. And instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true fans truly understand the importance of supporting our journey together.